Thanks for joining us today for another video from Howard Piano Industries. Today we're going to be showing you how to replace damper felts on an upright piano action. It's fairly straightforward. This is a fairly easy task to do. Sometimes this is a very old action, probably definitely like about 120 years old, I think. So the damper felts are really crusty and disformed, and they're not hanging on real good. They're just in really bad shape, so they don't have real good damping power anymore, and the sound bleeds through from the dampers just not working very good. So we're going to replace the felts on this. Okay, so what we've got here, this is a damper lever. Now this is the action shown from the back, or the part that is usually up against the piano. So here you're facing the dampers. Usually this is the part of the dampers that would be up against the strings. Normally here we've got the hammers. Okay, so obviously we've got the hammers move toward us when we're looking at the action from this way. So this would be as if they were striking the strings. So that's the angle that we're looking at the action from here. So you're looking at the back end of the damper levers. These are the damper levers. Down here we've got the bottom of the whipping, where the spoon pushes on the back of the damper lever to actuate it when the key is played. And you can do this a couple different ways. That you can replace the damper felts with the action in the piano. There's one advantage to that is that obviously you don't have too much trouble with getting it aligned right, because you know that when you get the damper on and you push it up against the string, that you know that it's in the right position on the damper head. But if you're careful, I find there's a disadvantage to doing it that way too, because you don't have a lot of room to work. Then you almost have to take the heads off of the damper wires and then try to get them lined up and everything. So I just find it easier to take the action out of the piano and then replace the damper felts with the action out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the damper lever from the action. On the back side of the damper lever, there's a flange with a screw. And if you got a long blade screwdriver, this is just a action flange screwdriver. We're going to go in and unscrew that flange from the rail. Take that out. There we go. So we can get a close-up look. We got the damper lever. This is the damper spring. There's the flange right there. This is the damper head and the damper felt. This right here, that's the damper lever felt. And so if you replace that, we'll show that maybe in another video. And when you replace that, we just replace that with action cloth. And of course the spring fits in a groove there that's lined with felt. So, but we're concerned here in this video with the damper felt. And as you can see, that's in pretty rough shape, as you can see close up. So, removing it, and if you want, you can shine up this wire. Probably will do that in the next step, but for right now we're just going to take the old damper felt off. I just have a utility knife here. You can use X-Acto knife or something like that, but we're going to just go here and cut or scrape the old felt off of the damper head. And it's not going to all come off, it never does, but so when you get it, there's going to be a little bit of felt left. So then what we're going to do is just kind of shave it. Try not to remove wood or your finger. Okay, but sometimes you just, whoop, my screw fell. Flange screw for the damper lever. So sometimes I'll just scrape it like this with my knife, which gets all the fibers off. that nice and clean. It's a little, takes a little time, but there we go. Okay, so we've got all the felt scraped and cut off of that damper head there. So once we got that, then we're just gonna glue the new felt on. So here I've got my replacement. This is a unicord or single damper for the single string notes, and we're just going to glue. So this block on the back is just going to get glued to the damper head like that. Okay, so we'll put some glue on the damper head, spread that around a little bit. Really the best glue to use is not PVC-E glue, though this is PVC-E glue is the most convenient, but the best glue to use is hot hide glue. Okay, so if you've got that, I just didn't have my hot hide glue pot set up today, so we're for at least for the purpose of this video, I'm going to demonstrate it using the PVC-E glue, which is the next best choice. So again, that's PVC-E glue that we've got available in our online store, and we're just going to put glue on the damper head where the felt is going to go, and just kind of spread it out there a little bit. You can spread it with your finger or whatever, so it covers the area where the felt is going to go. Okay, now this one, we have two different styles of the base damper felts, and this one, the thing is, the block in the middle is centered, so you can put it either way. But if you've got one that's offset, make sure that it's going in the right direction for whatever your piano is designed for. So we're going to put this on the block, and what I want to do is I want to center it between the sides. Okay, so it might, like this one's just slightly wide for the block, just a hair, but the old one was too. So, but we want to get that, and then we want to do it so it's centered from top to bottom, so that this one's got a little bit of a gap on the top of the bottom, but again, the old one did too. So, but we're just going to push that on there and make sure it's on nice and solid, and then just set it down here to let it dry. Okay, then once we've let that set for at least a few hours, then we can go ahead and screw this one over here I've got done. So just go ahead and screw it back onto the rail. Make sure you'll have to push down on the spring, on the flange, because the flange is going to be, or the spring is going to be pushing up on the flange. Once you get that in place, then you can screw the flange screw back in. And you could either take them all off as you go, or you can put them back on. But if you're going to let them dry, you probably take off at least a few. But just make sure you keep them in order so that they're in the same order as they were when they came off. So that's for the base section. So you'll go through, obviously, from here to here, and we have the unicord or single string note dampers, and then from here up to there we've got the double string note dampers. Now you might find in this section between the treble and the tenor break, or the bass and the tenor break, some of these might be a little shorter, which means you'll have to cut some of the damper felts to match what the size of the old ones were. Just keep note of that. And you can use, again, sometimes I'll use a scissors, real sharp, like Fisker scissors that will cut, and that works fairly well. Or sometimes I'll use an X-Acto knife or something like that, or a rotary cutter works too sometimes. And we're going to come up here to the treble, treble dampers. Okay, so here we've got, again, I'm going to just take one off. And here we've got the damper felt. You can see this is a different style. These are treble damper felts. Just it's got the crease in the middle, which allow it to have better pressure on the strings. But we're going to go ahead and remove the felt. Oop, my flange screw fell again. There we go. So that one came off fairly easily. Nice and clean. Scrape it off. There we go. So nice clean. There's, yeah, you'll see there's a little bit of felt on there, but that's, as long as it feels smooth and clean, you know, that's the important thing. And then you do the same thing with that. You'd take your new damper felt. You know, if there's going to be with the treble damper felts, they taper from in size. So the ones up here on the top are going to be not as long as the ones further down. So they gradually get so that when you buy the treble vertical treble damper felt set, you kind of find the size that matches what you need for each of those. So then you'll put the glue on the block, place that on there, center it, make sure it's centered side to side and top to bottom, and then you'll let that dry and put your damper levers back on, and you're good to go. So fairly simple process. You know, it's something that pianos typically need when they get old and worn out, but you can find these parts on our website at howardpianoindustries.com, and make sure you check out our Instagram page too. Its username is Howard Piano Industries. So if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. We're glad to help.